So I did not get the chance to talk about Jimmy Kimmel's return. And I have a few things I want to say about it, and I'd love to get your takes on it too. He did go back to the airwaves on Tuesday night and was a self-pitying baby. That was my take on it. Boo effing who. He almost cried for himself. He wasn't sorry about what he said about MAGA breeding the Charlie Kirk shooter, which was a lie. And the reason I know is because he didn't correct the record, nor did he apologize. It was unbelievable. He got there and cried and whined for himself. Hold on, my audience is going to show that. I think it's SOT 4, I think, where he's blubbering on. But if I'm not right, team, you pick the right one.
I've been hearing a lot about what I need to say and do tonight. And the truth is, I don't think what I have to say is going to make much of a difference. If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. I have no illusions about changing anyone's mind. But I do want to make something clear because it's important to me as a human. And that is, you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man. I don't think there's anything funny about it.
Okay. Do we have the original Sin soundbite? Can we play that? Because what he did was make light of the murder of a young man. He absolutely made light of Charlie Kirk's murder. He made a joke out of it. He ripped on MAGA, which was suffering and grieving, and he thought that they would be a fun target to mock, and then suggested they were the ones who did this, that this guy was MAGA, which was a lie. So he may not have intended to do that, but that's exactly what this wasn't fodder for jokes. And he treated it like it was. Do we have it? No, stand by. We're getting it. We're pulling it over. In the meantime, I'll show you one other. SOT 7.
On Sunday, Erica Kirk forgave the man who shot her husband. She forgave him. That is an example we should follow. If you believe in the teachings of Jesus, as I do, there it was. That's it. A selfless act of grace, forgiveness from a grieving widow. It touched me deeply. And I hope
he's crying for himself.
It touches many. And if there's anything we should take from this tragedy to carry forward, I hope it can be that, and not this.
He is crying for himself. And on top of it, the reason he's speaking about Erica Kirk's call for forgiveness, her willingness to forgive, is because he wants everyone to forgive him without actually apologizing or owning up to what he did. That's why he's so deeply touched by it. He's basically saying, forgive me. Let me off the hook. I deserve forgiveness, though he doesn't even acknowledge what he actually did. And in the context of this whole thing, actually doubles down by ripping on MAGA and conservatives here in SOT 3.
I want to thank the people who don't support my show and what I believe, but support my right to share those beliefs anyway. People who I never would have imagined, like Ben Shapiro, Clay Travis, Candace Owens, Mitch McConnell, Rand Paul, even my old pal Ted Cruz. I don't think I've ever said this before, but Ted Cruz is right. Even though I don't agree with many of those people on most subjects, some of the things they say even make me want to throw up. It takes courage for them to speak out against this administration, and they did, and they deserve credit for it. And thanks.
See, that's how he had to do it. They make me want to barf, but appreciate the support with no apology whatsoever. And last but not least, then he comes out, and we do have the original Sin that caused all the trouble. I'm going to play that, and then I'm going to play soundbite 5. So first, let's watch what got him in trouble last week.
We had some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
So he was making light of it. He absolutely was making light of it. It just wasn't funny and it wasn't true. And now he comes out and says this in SOT 5.
I posted a message on Instagram on the day he was killed, sending love to his family and asking for compassion, and I meant it, and I still do. Nor was it my intention to blame any specific group for the actions of what it was obviously a deeply disturbed individual. That was really the opposite of the point I was trying to make. But I understand that to some that felt either ill-timed or unclear, or maybe both. And for those who think I did point a finger, I get why you're upset. If the situation was reversed, there's a good chance I'd have felt the same way. I don't think the murderer who shot Charlie Kirk represents anyone. This was a sick person who believed violence was a solution, and it isn't. Ever.
Okay. He didn't represent anyone. That's because he was a leftist. If this guy had right-wing messages on those bullet casings, you think Jimmy Kimmel would be saying, oh, he's just sick. He didn't represent anyone. If it's a leftist, then all the messaging, all of their political ideology, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. That's what's so interesting about this particular assassination when we talk about motivation, is that this guy actually doesn't seem to be a lunatic. That guy who shot up the Minneapolis school and church with the young children seemed like a lunatic. He seemed possessed to me, to be honest. But that guy was a nut who obviously was trans and all the other problems. But this guy doesn't seem like a nut. He seems very high functioning. There are no reports about him being crazy. He was a political assassin, plain and simple, and was no more crazy than anybody who takes murder as an option is crazy. And he won't acknowledge that. I don't think he represents anybody. Yes, no, he does. He was indoctrinated by the left, by rhetoric from the left, rhetoric that Jimmy Kimmel espouses all the time. I thought it was a total fail, Emily. The whole thing was a fail. And all the blubbering was for himself. It wasn't for Erica Kirk. It wasn't for Charlie. It certainly wasn't for MAGA, or whom he has insulted and wrongly blamed. And the whole talk of forgiveness was a plea to the broadcasters and the affiliates for himself. The whole thing was about one thing. Here it is. Yeah. Your thoughts?
Well, now that we just watched all of those clips again, it occurred to me that emotion is completely misplaced when you compare with how he reacted in the aftermath. When you juxtapose it with the clip of him pointing the finger at MAGA, which is just like obviously verifiably what he did. And we had Michael Knowles on After Party last night. He was saying that is actually what upset people. There have been a million jokes made in the aftermath of the assassination, and people have taken issue with them and been like, that's gross. But what sent people through the roof about Jimmy Kimmel was specifically that he was spreading in this like weird clapter line a lie. He was spreading something that was untrue at the time that he said it. Everybody knew it was untrue and that it's a damaging lie. And that's particularly what was pissing people off. Now, watching it back, compared to him crying after he got in trouble, it occurs to me he should have been crying through his monologues when he was talking about this a couple of days after it happened, not after he got in trouble. It's actually like really, it's sort of strange to see him crying now and acting as though this is an act of bravery, that this is him performing when it really is just him performing in the aftermath of what happened with him getting in trouble, not the aftermath of the national trauma that even people on the left went through when they saw someone get shot in cold blood.
Yeah. I mean, you know who actually shed some tears for Charlie Kirk on the left? Jamie Lee Curtis. Mm-hmm. She is somebody who said, I disagreed with him on everything, but a young man was shot, a father, a 31-year-old, and actually shed tears, a totally appropriate human reaction. Jimmy Kimmel didn't shed tears over Charlie Kirk. He cried for himself because he almost lost his precious show, Eliana. That's why he was able to work up that emotion into his voice because, oh my God, I'm not going to be on this stage under the Klieg lights anymore.
I think what was enraging about the faux apology is that what he said was, I didn't mean to make light of this. Well, I have to say, that's not what was upsetting to me, or I think many others about this. It's that what he said wasn't a joke. He said MAGA's trying to pretend that it wasn't one of them who did this. That wasn't a joke. He was serious about that. And then his apology was, oh, I didn't mean to do that, rather than I'm sorry for what I did. He did blame a specific group for the murder. And he says, for those of you who think I pointed a finger, I get why you're upset. He did point a finger, and he pointed it at the wrong group. So we got a phony apology. And then he said, thank you for standing up, against the Trump government for my right to say this. And look, I personally wish that Brendan Carr and the FCC hadn't inserted themselves into this. But what's really playing out here is a dynamic between the liberal Hollywood elites, Disney, Bob Iger on the one hand, and conservative-owned local stations on the other. If it really was the Trump government keeping Jimmy Kimmel off the air, he wouldn't be back on. And we still have local stations keeping him off. And I have to say, we have now the mainstream media heralding how many people tuned in to see Jimmy Kimmel's monologue. 6 million viewers tuned in to see Jimmy Kimmel. Look, even I, who've literally never watched his show, was interested to hear what he was going to say last night or 2 nights ago.
Of course, it was a news event.
Okay, yeah, so no big deal. Now we have a standoff between liberal Hollywood and the conservative station owners who are sick and tired of having 10 hours a week between Jimmy Kimmel on the one hand and The View on the other shoved down their throats every day.
Did you know gold is up around 40% this year? 40! That's not speculation, that is reality. And if a portion of your savings is not diversified into gold, you could be missing the boat. Here are the facts. Inflation is still high. The U.S. dollar is still weak, and government debt is still growing. This is why central banks are flocking to gold. They're the ones driving prices up to record highs, but it's not too late for you to buy gold. You're not too late to get in on this. From Birch Gold Group, and to get in the door now. Birch Gold will help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. You can do it in whole or in part. You don't pay one dime out of pocket. Just text MK to 989898 and claim your free info kit. There's no obligation, just useful information. The best indicator of the future is the past, and gold has historically been a safe haven for decades. So text MK to 989898 right now to claim your free info kit on gold. That's MK to 989898. Protect your future today with Birch Gold. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.